What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of HR Heretics. Kelly, what up, girl? I miss you.
What's the word? How are we doing? It's been a while.
It has been a while. We're back in the saddle, though.
Yeah,
Everyone's
it's a
been
good
asking,
day.
where you guys been? What are you guys doing? Turns out, we have lives, too.
Yeah, I'll
it's
tell you what I was
summer.
doing. I was at the fucking chiropractor because my back was out. Nolan's like, hey, you still want to record today? I'm like, yeah, it's fired up. It's 3:30 on a Thursday. Absolutely.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right, so we're going to do Dear Heretics today. And so here it is. Dear Heretics, what are the best practices around updating the board on people matters? What do they need to know, like hirings and firings, versus what would be great to share and get their input or strategic lens on? For context, our board is small and there isn't a people-focused expert on it. They meet monthly. Is it typical for people ops to meet the board periodically to give information firsthand? Or do updates usually flow through the CEO co-founders? Kelly, what do you think?
I love it. This is a great topic, and it's a fuzzy one because, best practice, there isn't one. That's the real answer, my friend. There is not a best practice. It is all situational. It is something you need to feel out, and then once you've felt it out and you're in it and you've established whatever dynamic or relationship, then there's a whole nother level of nuance and considerations and balance. So I guess to kick it off, Nolan, my first answer is, do you know what the dynamic is? I was just talking to a company the past few months about joining and whatnot, and one of my initial questions to the founder CEO was, tell me about the board. Tell me about your relationship with the board. Let's go through each member and why they invested. If they're independent, how did you choose them? What do they care about? How do you interact with them? How would I interact with them? And you get a very nice overlay of again the dynamic and the vibe of that, and then secretly you get a reaction whether that leader feels comfortable with you or not interacting with the board. And in my experience, for many reasons we can talk about, if they're not comfortable and they're like, oh, you don't have to worry about that, you don't need to come to board meetings, you don't need to, red flag. What do you think?
It's situational. I think a couple of other layers I would add in is the seniority of the people person, right? So someone at your level, for sure, right? Me at DoorDash, definitely not, right? I was 27 at the time. That's thing one. Thing two is what problem is the company solving? And where are they at in their life cycle? So if it's, an early stage company that's scaling up, we got to talk about people all the time. If it's a much later stage company that, kind of has everything figured out and it's just the machine is working and we're focused on other things, then potentially not. I will say for the people leader, I just had a conversation with a friend yesterday and I told him, if you don't set the strategy and communicate the strategy, somebody else will.
Yes.
And so that needs to be expressed to the CEO, certainly. That's the bare minimum. But ultimately, if you are the leader, you do need to communicate it to the board and have regular check-ins and a relationship with them.
Yeah. I think you bring up a really, really smart point that I probably should have asterisked before I jumped in, is to have awareness of your level and how you're coming in. You know what I mean? To your point, a first-time head of HR at a 50-person company is much different. So the last thing you want to do is listen to this and be in that position and stomp around and demand that you're going to be in the board. Absolutely not. So thank you for that, having judgment around those things. However, no matter what situation you're in, you're totally right that if you don't somehow get this defined and present and represented in some way, whether it's you or your CEO or someone else, you're totally correct. Those board meetings, they will throw in opinions, demands, ideas, and then it will fall on you as now the tactical, non-strategic pair of hands. So just try, and if you have a really good relationship with your CEO and you're doing good stuff and you have great strategic ideas, perhaps you can say, or what I would do is say, hey, maybe not this quarter, maybe next quarter, can we partner maybe on a 15, 20-minute segment? I can pop into the board, not join the meeting, can pop in to hit some of these key areas around people and talent that we're feeling are critical to the business. That is different.
It's really delicate.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. It's really delicate, and for me on that, it's you need to be adding value. Like, you don't just show up to the board meeting because we want to see what's going on in there. Like, you need to come with a purpose. One of the things I learned from Henry at Carta was when we meet with the board, we should be telling them what we're doing and then strategically asking them for help. So that was kind of always our framework, was like, here's our plan, here's what we're doing, here's how things are going, here's where we can use you. And so if you are, if we're talking about a first time, people person, and you haven't had yet the opportunity to interact with the board, what I would do is I would go to the CEO and I would say, look, I want to present my plan to you, and if you're aligned with that, I want to present it to the board. The goal here is that I want them to understand what we're doing, the challenges that we're facing, and where they can help us. What do you think? That's how I would present it. What do you think about that, Kelly?
Well, it's kind of similar to what I mentioned, before, which I totally agree. And the takeaway of that is do it with your CEO. Don't tell them you want to do it. So the universal thread in all that, Nolan, is in the end of it, it's not about you telling the board you want to be a part of it. What happens first is you earn the right to be there through your CEO thinking you are amazing, invaluable, strategic, needing to be there. Then they tell the board. Do you know what I mean? And when that happens, when CEOs have great HR leaders, I feel like it just becomes part of their business. For example, when I joined Pendo, it wasn't even a question. Todd was like, you're in the board meeting. But a couple companies prior, I had to earn that and talk about it because I was more junior and coming up. Do you see what I mean? So that CEO is the one that's going to advocate for you to be there. It's not just a given. And to do that, build it with them to the kind of some of the role playing we just did.
Hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors. Your workforce is your organization's greatest strength and often its largest single expense. But without the right tools, understanding where your workforce spend is going or how it impacts your bottom line can be a challenge. That's where Planful comes in. With Planful, HR and finance teams get the clarity they need to make smarter workforce decisions, gain real-time visibility into workforce fluctuations, forecast with confidence, and adjust talent acquisition plans collaboratively based on costs today and into the future. No more guesswork, just data-driven insights to help you plan with accuracy. And the best part, Planful is fast and easy to implement, so you can be up and running in weeks, not months, with minimal IT support. Plus, as your company grows, Planful grows with you, providing endless runway for strategic workforce planning at any scale. Ready to take your workforce planning to the next level? Join over 1,500 organizations already using Planful. Visit planful.com/heretics to learn more. AI changes how work gets done. Recruiting is no exception. Metaview is the AI platform purpose-built for recruiting. If you're looking to level up your AI adoption and see real impact from intake to offer, it's a no-brainer. Metaview's suite of AI agents works for you at every stage of the hiring process. Their platform powers instant job post creation, AI-powered candidate Q&A, insights on pipeline performance, compensation, and so much more. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in candidate debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes all of that. For every candidate in every pipeline, bring radical efficiency and precision to your hiring process with perfect data from every conversation. Metaview covers all of your compliance needs, works with all of your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at more than 3,000 elite companies like Brex, Deel, 11 Labs, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Just head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts or get started for free. You'll be up running and AI enabled in minutes.
Yeah, the other thing is so say then you get the invite to the meeting. The fidelity of information you give to the board is very dependent on the board, the company, and the problems the company's facing. So sometimes CEOs are super transparent. Sometimes they're a little bit opaque. You have to figure that out. So I'll just tell you like what we did, which I thought was a good framework. Every person who presented at the board meeting, the first slide was like a going well, not going well slide. So just like a very quick executive summary on what was up, both good and bad.
Yeah.
Then we did the click in on like the what we had said last time and the update from last time. Then we did the focus for like the next quarter or 2 quarters, like where we were going, what we were going to be doing as a team. And then any specific like ask for help. What was your framework on how you presented?
Very similar. The thing I would add on top of that is how to operationalize that in a way that's just how you run your business. So it's not like these big 11th hour scrambles. Oh my God, the board meeting, let's put together this stuff. Just run your business that way. So tactically, very tactically, do a QBR every quarter with your business. Have that same flow, have that same mindset of how you're running this thing like a business and what it's doing for the organization, for the top and the bottom line and your goals. Like just tie it all together. Force yourself and your team to do that every quarter. And I basically, Nolan, just take a subset of that QBR deck, tweak it as needed, trim it down, be a little bit more clear on like what are just the 3 target messages that flow nicely with the topic or the story we want to get across to the board that quarter as a team, and that's how it flows in.
Yep, totally. What about board relationships, Kelli?
Yeah, so that's where I wanted to go next. Again, please, use judgment and don't be a bulldog and demand this stuff in a way that just backfires. However, in my career, Nolan, I wish I would have built relationships with board members earlier in my career. I really didn't start to like rub elbows with board members probably until hired days, which was like 2016, 2017. I really wish I would have started doing that like 2012, 2013. And the reason for that is because what you learn and how you start talking about talent and people and all the things underneath the lens of what a board member cares about and how they think helps you become a better business leader. You're just forced to talk in a different way. Do you know what I mean? The second thing, I'll be really honest with everyone, they're just fucking people. Like, I was so intimidated. I'm like, oh, these board members, and they're just people, and they're learning just like you are. And ironically, as board members get more experienced and more removed from operating, they're learning from you just as much as you're learning from them. And so that was just a demystifying thing for me, is that you can actually just talk to them like this, and they love that. Some board members I've known for years, and we text, and we, you know what I mean? We freeform, and we talk in slang. I mean, it's just something that's really helpful, and it can be really fun. It's a different angle conversation. I'll tell you the third, Nolan, and, I've been the head of, chief people officer at 2 Sapphire portfolio companies now. Board members, they're your funnel to the next thing. They are literally, and not just your funnel for jobs, everyone. I'm talking about they will break down the lemons from the rockets. They will talk to you about every angle of the upside, the TAM, the financial look. They will help you find the next best thing for you, and help you assess these companies and funnel them to you, but also in a lens, in a way that knows you, right, and your style and your culture, because they work with these founders day in and day out.
If you have a good relationship, right? That's the main thing. And it's just like every other relationship. It is very contextual and dependent on the board member. So some of these people actually just don't give a shit about people and talent stuff. And that's cool, right? Like, that's totally fine. Like, you have to be able to have the tact and the understanding of, like, who's actually asking questions at the meeting, right? Yes. And that's the person that you're going to go build the first relationship with.
Yes, and right? I'm sorry, and that is on us, and that helps you choose the right venture companies for their portcos. Because I can tell you, even if you like them as a person, if they don't give a shit about people and talent, I probably would copy and paste that to other portfolio companies in their firm kind of thing.
Maybe.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's like some of these people just totally optimize on like product or go to market or something. And I've been in some board meetings to where I know somebody cares about people stuff, but they're just not, they know they're not smart enough to opine on it, and so they don't say anything, right? That's kind of more of what I mean. But what I was getting at though is like, for the person who's asking questions, right? What I would do if I'm building that relationship from zero is after the meeting, I would email them and say, hey, really appreciated the questions. Would love to spend some more time together. And then that way you could kind of slowly grow that thing. Start with one, right? Don't try and boil the ocean. Like boards can have like 7 to 10 people. That can be very overwhelming. Start with one. My strategy at Carta was basically just to have one really good relationship and then try and grow that as time went on. And to your point, like that relationship for me was Spark and Andrew at Spark. And I loved him. And we're still super tight to this day. And so, you know, you're not going to have warm and fuzzy relationships with all of them. It's just going to have, you know, different sorts of feelings. But for me, that one was great. And then I went and built one with John at USV. You know, Mark Andreessen joined the board right as I was leaving Carta, so I didn't get a chance to build it with him. But like ultimately, these are people, to your point, I still talk to all the time. Like Alex Curlin pinged me like a week ago. Yeah. And you know, this is the other thing I will mention on this is the older I get, the smaller the world becomes. And these people tend to be the connectors, right? To your point around Sapphire, like thinking about opportunities for you, I just describe them as super connectors. Yeah. They have a much wider aperture. And so your job in the meeting is provide value. Your job after the meeting is build the relationship. And that can help you in your current role and at some point in the future.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is when you're doing that, and let's say that's going all well and you're having dinner or coffee or whatever it is with do not forget your relationship with your CEO in that role comes first. Do not forget that it is delicate. It is tricky, right? I kind of got buzzsawed a long time ago, and a board member was like, hey, what do you think about the CRO? Do you know what I mean? And we weren't really ready to talk about that with that person yet. And I didn't say a lot, but in hindsight, I probably said a little bit more than I should have. And it's not like this board member was trying to play detective and had bad intent, but it can create some tricky situations. So just make sure you're in lockstep with your CEO when it comes to the business and the people and kind of what you're ready to tell them and when, if that makes sense.
2 things here. One is discretion, right? So like when you're having private conversations with the board, you need to have ultimate discretion. The second thing, I think, to say it a little bit more pointedly, your relationship and basically whose team you're on, team CEO. Period. Full stop.
Yeah. If I can use an analogy, which I love, like your CEO is like your brother or sister. Like you're just kind of assuming you have a good relationship with your brother or sister, but you're just kind of there, right? You're unfiltered usually. You trust each other ideally. The boards are kind of like your cousins. You like them, but maybe you're not, spilling it all, all the time. You're a little bit more, like you said, using discretion and judgment, a little bit more tempered. It just depends on the situation.
It's super delicate, and you got to be very careful. I, like you, had made that mistake earlier in my career, and it wasn't like too bad, but you realize after the fact, like, oh shit, did I just say something that, like, you shouldn't be the person breaking news? Maybe to say it more succinctly, it's like, this is not your, like, ultimately it's your CEO's relationship and an extension of that relationship.
That's a great rule of thumb. Yeah, this is a great topic. Thank you.
Cool.
Dear Heretics.
Love these. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Love it.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.